But I don't tend to sort of come in tight
Well,
for
you
a,
should, 'cause
a
it sounds
bit of
amazing.
talking. Hey,
You sound like that Dennis Banks guy. Dennis Law. Dennis Law?
Dennis
Who's
Law?
the guy with the deep voice?
Who does the
Who was on 3AW.
who does the movie trailers? Oh, Dennis.
Dennis the singer. He was an opera singer kind of guy. Dennis.
This is absolutely Essendon. It's our round 8 review. Essendon versus West Coast. Boy, we just got over the line. It was a game that we were all quite concerned about. As is the Essendon way, we come off a big performance, like the Anzac Day performance, highly emotional, highly stressful. We jump on a plane, and often it's a game that we cough up. We take a slight stumble. We didn't do that. However, perhaps there still are just a couple of little concerning signs. But before we dig very deep into that episode, okay, so hold fire, keep your powder dry. I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping and say a big thank you to the response we had to our Gary O'Donnell interview. Seemed to be very well received. Thank you everyone that did watch it. It was a real treat for us to talk to the great man, and I really appreciated all the comments.
Yep, Gary was amazing. I've got to tell you, if ever we need someone to replace you, I now know exactly who I would be reaching out to.
That's charming.
The great Gary O'Donnell.
Charming.
He is a natural.
He really is
a natural.
He really is a very good storyteller.
Yeah.
Very good stories. So thank you to all that. We hope to bring you more. That was the first off, but what a great way to start. Secondly, just want to thank a response to our Anzac Day review episode that we had as well. A lot of people decided to give us super thank yous. Talking with your wallets, really appreciate that. And even some non-Essendon supporters contributing. It all helps, keeps the lights on here, our very expensive
couple of Collingwood folk kindly gave up the money they nicked from the next door neighbour and donated that to us, so we appreciate that.
They've got a bit of money to throw around,
you think?
Those pies, They're really...
well, they do. They should use it on getting their teeth replaced, but anyway.
Always the dental
and
gags.
if I can add a thirdly, or have you finished with the thanks to...
No, all right, you can jump in at this point.
Thirdly is, can you keep the money coming? Hey, this doesn't cost nothing, guys. I mean...
Helps us pay for the occasional
but
caffeine.
In all seriousness... Thirdly, talking about special guests, and Gary was certainly special, but we may in fact have another very special guest joining us around the Dreamtime game. Guys, watch out. Keep an eye on. And in order to be sure you don't miss this exciting interview coming up with one of your favourites, please subscribe. And make sure you hit the little bell button and all that stuff because, we want to get to 2,000 subs. And that's it. If we can get to 2,000 subs, we're a serious player in this game of...
In this industry.
Yeah, YouTube creation. So please, guys, we hate asking, but it does help us. Asking. And, we're not doing so well here. So any extra subs just helps us a little. So please keep it coming.
Start.
I think we've had about 5 minutes of intro now and we haven't even talked about the big game. So
I know.
Do you have a fourthly?
I could come up with one quite easily.
Maybe we could think of one.
No. But with the subs, we noticed a lot of people are watching, not necessarily subscribing. Now, we understand everyone has commitment issues. God, I'm the front of the queue. But if you could just, help us out.
Do us a
We don't like
favour.
to come begging.
Okay.
Don't love
Let's all do this together.
Yes.
Right now, on whatever device you're watching, let's use that. It goes zing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Done. And I tell you what, if we can get an extra, let's say we can get an extra 50 just from this exercise, there could be something special coming up for you guys, more than you could ever hope for. So with that in mind, let's talk about the big game.
You heard it. Okay, and what a big game it was. The Dons just got over the line. It was looking at one point as though we were heading towards another draw, and I thought, geez, how often does that happen in history where you have two draws in a row?
Good point, because the previous night, or whenever it was, Carlton Collingwood looked like it was heading for a draw.
Yes.
And they were talking about, the fact that how often does a back-to-back draw happen? It has happened twice in the history of the VFL, AFL, most recently GWS.
How often the same team involved?
That's what I'm saying. Same team, 2 weeks in a row. Okay. GWS most recently. But only twice in the history of our great game. So then you had... Collingwood Carlton threatening a draw until the young Prince Nick Dacos sealed that game for the Pies. And
really
thank you
did.
for that, Nick.
Yes.
Because we don't like Carlton very much.
No.
And then the Bombers versus the Eagles was heading down that path as well.
It really was. It really was. Where, of course, Waterman, the great hairstyle, Waterman.
What is that moulded on somehow? Is he a Lego character in real life?
It does look like a
that
wig.
hair
It does look like a wig.
But it looks like he's wearing a hairnet. You know, like those
He's just sort of
the
catching
homies in central LA. Yeah, those guys with, you know what I mean.
It's a very interesting style.
Yeah,
I must
but
admit.
he's a much improved. I thought the stat about Waterman that was fascinating is that he'd kicked 15 goals in his previous 3 games and only 2 in the previous 17 games. So he's found a rare patch of form, hasn't he?
He's flicked a switch.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But yes, anyway, had that mark, well, was it a free kick?
I can't mark or
but
free kick.
basically,
Yeah.
it was reversed, and so we'd probably be in a very different frame of mind.
This is a pivotal moment. Cripps,
What's he doing?
What is Cripps doing off the ball? Even Waterman says to him, don't give it away, you can see it. And he's shattered, so you'll see it here. He drops Martin Cripps just off the left. He's just there. And that is reversed. What a big moment that is. You can see the devastation there. And when you lose it by such a close margin, you go back to an experienced player amongst a young...
Well, that moment was a telling moment. And for those that perhaps didn't see it, Waterman had the ball probably 10 or 15 metres out on a very, very slight angle. Most likely a goal coming. And Nick Martin, probably his best moment of the entire night. And what was a stellar night for Nick Martin, by the way.
It was.
Sucked in the Eagles
Cripps.
player. Cripps,
Cripps.
was it? Cripps or Crisp or Cripsy, whatever.
Cripps.
And he threw Martin to the ground, gave up a free, reversed the free kick. And I thought the head shake from Waterman was telling. And you could imagine the frustration in that team with their teammate having
When
caused that.
Waterman is shaking his head at teammates, like
The hair kind of wobbles, doesn't it?
yeah, it sort of shifts the centre of gravity, doesn't it? But what do you think Martin said to Cripps to generate that response? Was it a suffer in your jocks?
It definitely wasn't a Jeremy Finlayson, I can assure you of that.
No homophobic slur?
Well, we absolutely don't condone
Not
that.
our guys.
No, not
our
at all.
guys.
Not
No,
at all.
No, something about his mother?
Look, I think even mums are off the agenda now.
Oh, really?
With I'm not sure
Mums are out?
what can you say that isn't
Yeah.
going to land you 3 weeks in the hen house?
Exactly. Can you have a go about someone's tight assness?
What, you think he's looked at Nick Martin and gone, my God, that is a tight ass?
Well,
Oh,
I
you
was
mean in
thinking
terms of money? spent?
frugality.
Ah, right.
Yes,
That's a different.
yes.
Well, that's almost homophobic, isn't it?
his
saying
unwillingness
tight ass?
to spend cash. Is that? Oh, yeah, okay. All
Not
right.
sure what he said, but either way, it resulted in Martin being hurled to the ground, not being laid down gently like a baby
Yes.
in the cot.
Yes.
And the game was pretty much won at that point in time, I would
Now,
imagine.
we have a great community here that we
do.
love, we adore, and they generally have an answer for everything.
Yeah.
And so someone will have the answer for what Nick Martin, even if you don't, if you
Well,
want to
look.
suggest something, please comment below
Nick?
what he would have said to wind up Cripps enough to get that overturned.
I think, ask Nick.
Nick himself.
He could be tuning in.
Well, I think Nick's dad watches a lot of the
does.
the Essendon content.
He
so
does.
He may be.
Yeah, we'll find out either way.
If you could, because as someone said actually, because we asked the question about brown Smarties and they knew the answer,
They did.
and it was
Van
all,
Halen, wasn't it?
It was Van Halen.
Yeah.
It was all to do with the rigging on the stage and making sure that the all the specifications were followed closely. And again, I think it was Jonty that said the hive knows. Good way to describe it. Thank you, Jonty.
Yeah, well, look, these guys out in our absolutely Essendon land out there, all 27 of you are amazing, and
Yes.
we do appreciate it. But I think we really should talk about the game.
Oh, right,
Because
okay.
we've spent a lot of time meandering around it. Let's just talk
Yes.
about the first quarter. We just go through it quickly. I thought the Bombers got out to a pretty good start. Looked like they were on. It was a bit of an arm wrestle, but I guess the big talking point out of that first quarter was an inability to take advantage of our dominance. And I believe we were 2-5 at quarter time.
Yeah.
So some inaccurate kicking. Again, a couple of posters. Things just weren't feeling great. And I actually started getting that nasty feeling down below when things start crawling up inside you.
Sure.
And you think, oh my God, is it going to be one of these nights? And we all had that feeling going into the game that this was a banana skin game, a classic slip-up potential game. And I just felt, had we just gone 5-2 in that first quarter, then we might have just shut down the crowd and off we go, but it wasn't to be.
No, it is a bit of a recurring theme of the side's inability to really stick that dagger in the heart once they are on top. So there were a couple of moments in that game where you felt like they were on top, but just didn't quite do enough to create that gap. And because they were leading in all the stats and forward 50 entries and all of that, but at the end, those last 2 minutes, once again, we were watching through fingers, just trying to hang on for dear life.
True. And, I guess these games are always the nerve-wracking ones, aren't they, when you're expected to win. No one's losing sleep going up against the number one side. You just hope you do well. But against teams where you're expected to win, they become those horrible, nerve-wracking games and where you expect the worst of Essendon to come out. And I think historically we just know that in the past we could never trust the team. I think we can start trusting the team because they were up against a pretty decent West Coast Eagles side.
Yeah, true. They are
a team that has been in difficult times, let's be honest, for the Eagles, but they had a lot of their star players sort of coming back over the last few weeks, and they've won a couple of games. They've looked pretty good, and they looked pretty good last night, I thought. And when you think about it, guys like Yo, Kelly, Duggan, all performing, McGovern, Barras, these are big-name players. These are no lightweights. And their young gun, Harley Reid, out there. I don't think Harley made a huge impact on the game, but when he had his moment, his double fend-off of Hobbs and Merritt, I tell you, the commentators on the television commentary, they must have had boxes of tissues in that commentary box to clean up the mess.
Really?
After Harley did
they were
his
getting
double
a little
fend-off.
excited?
I mean, look, he's an incredible young footballer, no doubt about it. But gee whiz, I mean, the hype he was getting, they're putting way too much pressure on that kid's back. What do you think?
Well, I think that I'm amazed. 18 years old, he has dealt with the hype and dealt with the pressure so well. Yeah, now you might think last night he didn't make as much of an impact, but to go into to that team and I think he's helped lift the team. And what
True.
But you just think about it, he's just a kid and he's just carried that burden on his shoulders. And what I love is, I don't know if you're aware, but leading up to his first game earlier this year, there was just so much talk. So the West Australian newspaper, he was on the back page every day, so many column centimetres. And what I love is that his sponsor, the day before his first game, purchased the back page. And they said something like, they blacked out the whole page and they said, no back page pressure. Something like that. Good luck, mate.
Isn't that
good luck,
just
mate.
More of it, more pressure?
No, I thought it was a very nice thing to do.
Look, he's going to be an amazing footballer. If I'd be really surprised if he wasn't getting calls or his agent wasn't getting calls from every club in the competition to say, look, when his contract comes up at the Eagles, we'll grab him. And I'm sure that's going to be
price.
That's going to be a big talking point as this season, because he's on, I think, a 2-year contract as a draftee. And so, will the Eagles be making a play to keep him at that club for a long time? We'll see. That's no doubt going to come.
Where's he
come
from?
Around. He's from Victoria.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, he spent a couple of weeks out at the hangar last year training with the Bombers, played a VFL game.
Right.
I noticed a lot of the players, our guys were around him at the end of the game. So there's a relationship there. I wouldn't mind dangling a couple of carrots in front of him, to be honest.
Do what Jeffrey Edelston did to Kevin Sheedy, did he not? And just rip off a cheque. And in the days of cheques, kids, look up what a cheque is. Just hand it over a blank cheque to Sheedy. Said, you fill that in.
And Sheedy said, you know what? Okay, so the game, the first quarter was pretty tight. Second quarter, we got away a little bit from them. We kicked 5 goals in the second quarter. Yeah. But never got more than about 21, 22 points away. from the Eagles, and it was never a comfortable margin. And to the Eagles' credit, they were able to just answer with critical goals at important times and bring that lead back. It was just a real tug of war, I felt. Despite our first half performance being better than theirs, there really wasn't much in the game. But I can certainly say what was impressing me in that first half was Sam Durham. And we've talked a lot about Sam Durham this year. And, you make the point, you say, is it love? Is it love that's driving that kid? I mean, Sammy, you got nothing to prove, mate. You've already got her. You don't have to keep being amazing, but please do.
Yes. Please.
Like for us, when we fall in love, we have to go to the gym and try and lose all the belly fat. He doesn't have to worry about any of that.
No, he's hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And generally right on the ground because he's just so hard working.
Yeah.
Like we are so reliant on him now. I think I've said that before.
We've been saying it pretty much all season, and I just feel for the guy down at Richmond Football Club that said, you can have him, Bombers. You can have him. Because I think we snapped him up in a mid-season draft or something like that.
Was he a good deal?
Oh, well,
bargain buys?
He's just on such a trajectory at the moment.
Yeah.
And what I love about Sam is, apart from his aggression at the ball, I mean, he just adds that element. He is so clean with his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great mark, but at ground level, he never loses his balance. He's clean with his hands, and he's strong. He gets out of those tight situations. I think he had about 7 clearances or 8 clearances last night.
Yeah.
12 contested possessions.
Beautiful goal.
25 possessions in total, and kicks goals. So we are, I don't know, the whole dynamic of our midfield has changed for the better with the emergence of Sam Durham. And to be fair, also his partner in crime in Jai Caldwell, who I thought not so high on the possession count last night and did go off in the last quarter.
Why did he go off?
Just a bit of calf awareness.
So they realised he has a calf muscle?
I wonder if you're an amputee if you get calf awareness.
There would have been other choices that I would have taken off before.
No, he was. Look, I think as Scotty said in the press conference, he's fine. He'll be playing next week, but they just don't want to take chances. And I think when you've got a guy like Ben Hobbs sitting on the bench as a substitute, a like for like, sort of sub,
right.
I think that was a smart decision. But Caldwell has been amazing this year, doing a great shutdown job on key players along with his buddy Sammy Durham, and that frees up our great captain Zach Merritt, who was again imperious last night. But I want to give a special shout out to Darcy Parish, who, in the past when the bills come out, Darcy disappears and goes off to the toilet. Someone else will pick up the cheque.
Right.
He's paying not only for the meal, but he's taking everyone out for a drink afterwards.
Yeah.
He
it's
was
all
incredible last night.
He is. He is back. We definitely needed him. In fact, it came down to a sort of a core group of players. But let me ask you this. I'm just going to lob this up for you. Do we win the game without Merritt?
Oh no chance.
Like he's threading the goal through the eye of the needle.
3 goals, I think.
Like,
got, didn't he? Yeah.
I mean, yes, they're a bottom 4 side. And yes, they're on the improve. They're on the rise. Shares are rising.
Yep.
Nevertheless, are we a little too reliant?
Oh, look, I mean, who isn't reliant on their superstar? GWS are reliant on Toby Green, The Pies would not have won that game the other night without Nick Dacos.
Sure, but
that's why they're on the big
bucks.
But
they're playing a decent quality side.
Oh, no, I think you're underestimating the Eagles in Perth. That's a decent quality team in Perth. I mean, travelling in any sense is difficult for the Victorian clubs, and I think against the pretty hot Eagles at the moment, the Bombers did well. They could have done better, but they certainly got the points and can be very happy about that. But yeah, without Zach Merritt, no way we would have won that game. He has gone. Look, he was already a great player, and I know, again, we're going on about it.
Yeah.
Zach would have picked up at least a couple of Brownlow votes last night.
You think?
Maybe even the 3.
If they're paying attention. Don't count on it.
He polls well in the Brownlows, so I'm sure they're paying attention.
Right.
If he's not in the top 3 of the Brownlow count at this point in time, I'd be really surprised. Maybe Isaac Heaney would be pipping him. But he has had an incredible season, and he's so durable, touch wood, I'm sure
Yes.
if he can keep going,
Touch
he will
something.
be right up there in the Brownlow count.
That was
at
a
the end of the
lovely
year, so-
goal. That was a beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
dribble-
and he
dribble
meant
goal.
that too. He was not hoping and praying that. You could see from the minute he dropped the ball, he was looking for that reverse bounce to get it through, and it came off. He did
And
it
receiving
really well.
a beautiful handball from Harry Jones.
Yeah,
as well.
Jonesy's sense
Needs
of
to.
awareness of what was happening around him in a tight situation. That was certainly a great piece of work from Jonesy.
Yes.
But yeah, Zachy is he's just. Yeah, look, again, I couldn't speak highly enough about the guy.
So, no, I totally agree.
One other player,
Yep.
Nick Martin,
Yes.
we talked about his ability to induce the reversed free kick decision, but his actual football on the night was fantastic too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as always, and did you see Todd Goldstein taking a couple of marks, and he sort of looks around for him, and he wasn't there.
Yeah, I know
last
you're a
night,
big believer in that,
because
aren't you?
he was busy down the other end, but he looked a bit lonely, old Toddy Goldstein, after racking up his 10,000th.
Wow. I mean,
Hit out.
the week before Pendle's got his 10,000th disposal. They're in the 10,000 club, those two boys.
I'm surprised he's got a hand left. I'm surprised it just isn't a little stump.
Yeah, I mean,
from just the overuse.
That is like Mozart's hand. He must have that in ice after the game. Special protection that he wears around the house.
It'd
so
be
that
insured.
Nobody
A
can
glove.
touch that hand.
Like George Costanza when he got the hand modelling gig.
That's right.
Had to really look after it.
Particular type of moisturiser
Yes,
that just works beautifully with leather. And Toddy, look, I mean, apart from the value he brings to us as a ruckman, he's also bringing all of that experience. And I heard Scotty talking about him in the presser, and they can't speak highly enough of him. He's made such an impact at the club, and I thought he did pretty well last night.
No, he
taking
did.
on the majority of the rucking without Draper.
Shall we talk about that? Because you've got
Yeah.
Draper apparently being rested, and you've got our 36-year-old 10,000 hit-out ruckman playing every game.
Well,
How does that work? Walk me, break that down for me.
Draper being managed for game time. No, look.
Or was he being punished?
Well,
Come on now.
Look,
Let's talk about what he said. Hey?
Well, what did he say? He says nothing more than what we say every week. Well, don't see me getting dropped from the team, right? Maybe I should be.
Right.
But, I mean, he basically, he was in a podcast, nothing as good as this one.
Hey, don't go and look it up.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't find it anyway. But yeah, apparently in a podcast he made a snide remark about how the Bulldogs players would all be handing in their papers at the end of the season if Bevo was still to be coach. And probably a little bit unnecessary to say something like that, particularly as a current player. You know, you're only setting yourself up for a rap across the knuckles, and a rap across the knuckles he apparently got.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he had to go up to the headmaster's office and get 6 of the best, but certainly Brad Scott was not pleased.
Severe reprimand. I've got a theory as to why he maybe said that, because he was trying to be funny, and Brad Scott said, it's just we know Drape's just trying to be funny, but it's not on. But I think it was that same podcast that Nick Larkey appeared on doing his Damien Barrett impersonation.
That's not funny.
I don't know if you've seen it.
I have.
It's a quality
have.
impersonation.
Well, isn't that a little
Quality.
disrespectful to the great Damien Barrett, who probably deserves better than that?
Imitation, sincerest form of flattery. Do I even need to say that?
Okay.
Okay,
Fair enough.
But if you haven't seen it, do go and check that out. You need to give credit where it's due, and that's quality work by Nick Larkey.
Well, I mean, I know that we're on a mission to try and recruit every player that plays for North Melbourne, and I tell you what, if there's one you want to get, that's Nick Larkey. He is a fantastic player.
Zerha's back.
Well, we might have him around next year as well.
3 goals yesterday.
He's a free agent at the end of the year.
All right, okay, so we've covered the Drapes. Will he be back next week?
He will be back, of course. And, I think he is a lightning rod in the dressing room. He gets the boys going. I thought his game against Collingwood was actually his best game of the season. So it was a little unfortunate.
I agree.
He wasn't playing.
That's what made sense. I thought he'd be dropped for that game. But
no, look, they're taking the extra cautious approach with Draper after his injury issues from last season, and just being absolutely certain that they're not going to aggravate anything, and I think that's the right thing to do. So he'll be back for the game coming up this week. Is it North Melbourne? Oh, GWS.
It is.
Yeah.
Very tough little game.
Tough game. So he should definitely be back for that one.
Yes, because there'll be no scrambling over the line for that one.
No, this will be a real challenge. Even though it's being played in Melbourne, we did beat GWS at Marvel last year in the corresponding game. So, I think we've got to be pretty confident about it, but we do need all the cattle on the park for that game. We
really do. All in all, though, I think we're 8 rounds in. We expected to be, what did we thought 4-4 would be amazing.
I honestly never would have expected it. No.
We're now sitting at 5 wins, the draw, and 2 losses. Yeah. So all things considered,
half a game off top 4.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Do we deserve to be half a game off the top 4? I don't know. Possibly not. But next week is a very big test. So it'll be interesting to see how we go because...
Well, we've got a good run of games. I think the next few games we've got, obviously, GWS North, the Tigers in the Dreamtime game, and then Gold Coast up at... whatever that place was called.
People's Stadium?
What is it? Yeah.
People's something?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near that football ground. But
why not, mate? What are you worried about?
Tropical climate.
Oh, really? No, it doesn't
agree
skin. With you?
But those are 4 gettable games, I would think.
Yeah.
I would think. Based on the edge, I think the edge will see those games and go, we'll be licking his lips. Or hers. It could be her, the edge. I don't know. Its lips. So, I think it will. Let's just be realistic. If we can win at least 2 of those games, to be 7-4 with a draw is, not bad at the halfway point of the season.
Oh, well, I think we'd all absolutely take that.
Yeah.
No arguments there. So, what else do we need to cover? Do we want to talk about some players that are lurking in the background?
Look, I do think that's a good point to talk about because there will be some changes made for the Giants game.
I think there need to be, and I think, let's face it, against West Coast, it really came down to a core group of 5 or 6 players, really, that made the difference.
No, I think that's a good point. There was definitely some passengers in that game. Guelphy didn't do a lot, but he did a couple of good things.
He did.
Obviously back from a long-term injury, so good to get him back in the side. Took a fantastic mark out on the wing late in the game. I thought Archie was a bit quiet.
He was.
But did a couple of amazing things. That pass that he made in the first quarter to Peter Wright, I think it was, nearly penetrated Peter Wright's chest. It went so fast. It was a bullet-like pass.
Right.
So Archie, he needs to blow the cobwebs out a little bit. But I think there's got to be some concerns around young Elwyn Davey Jr.
Yeah.
What did you think of his game?
Yeah.
We're not here to have a go at the kid, but clearly...
No. It's been, it's been a few weeks now. He was fairly quiet on Anzac Day as well. And, I understand sometimes you want to get some games into these young kids, but I really feel that I'm not sure if we can afford to have a player who's still just not quite ready, seems a bit intimidated or not quite lost. But, I know he's there for sort of defensive pressure, but I don't know if that's really playing out as well as we'd liked. So I think it might be time for a change there.
Yeah, he's out of his depth. Is he going to be a player? I mean, time will tell. But, you look at, this is probably not a fair comparison, but Harley Reid is a year younger than him, and Harley Reid attacks the contest like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, that probably is a little unfair because he's a freak. Harley Reid is a freak.
Perhaps, and I guess that's a fair enough comment. But what I think is a concern with Elwyn is that he looks nervous, and when he does get the ball, he looks unsure. It's almost as if he doesn't believe he has a right to be in at that level.
Might be between the ears.
A bit of time in the seconds might not be a bad thing for young Elwyn. And I think there's going to obviously be some changes. I'm sure Draper will come back. And you've got Sarters and Shields sitting in the background too. Who comes in, I'm not sure, but you'd have to imagine at least Draper will be back in the side next week. and maybe that's going to be the swap is Davey for Draper. I know they're not like for like, but, other than that, who would you drop out of that side? I don't think it would be fair to drop Hobbs. I thought he was good when he came on.
He was.
So I think guys like Shiel and Sartis are going to just have to earn their place. They're going to have to make themselves known through fantastic performances in the reserves and, force their way back into the team based on pure performance alone. So, but, that's a nice problem to have. But, I think overall, good result. Glad to get the 4 points.
Yeah.
Grab those 4 points, tuck them in the Qantas bag, get back on the plane and come home and just forget about that place. Hopefully we never go back there. And what can I just say, for the state-of-the-art football ground that it's meant to be, the surface on that ground, I mean, it looked like they'd been feeding the cattle down in the rear paddock.
Goat paddock?
It looked horrible. And I noticed the players were slipping over a fair bit. So do better, Perth. Do better, because that ground looked shocking. That was not up to AFL standards.
Oh, I don't know. Last week on Anzac Day, there was a bit of slipping going on there.
That's the MCG.
Yeah.
Be careful what you say.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right. I don't have much more to say other than has everyone pressed the subscribe button yet?
Yeah.
We're watching.
If you're holding back, I mean, if that wasn't enough to convince you, I don't know. I don't know what is. But yes, that would be much appreciated. So we go into the GWS and looking forward to that. But yes, thank you again. Also,
well, I've just got one other thing to say.
Okay.
I know this is an AFL football club fan channel, but I do want to just doffs me hat to a football team in England in the championship overnight. Ipswich Town won 2-0 over Huddersfield to secure their promotion back to the Premier League for the first time in 22 years. I grew up loving Ipswich Town, and I can't tell you how excited I am. It just shows, and they did back-to-back promotions. They were in League One, came up into the championship, and now into the Premier League.
That's pretty impressive.
And
that's
amazing.
Pretty good.
On a budget of £6 million. That wouldn't even pay some of these Premier League players' weekly salary. So Kieran McKenna, who was an assistant coach at Manchester United, went to Ipswich and he's performed miracles. Ed Sheeran, for those of you who don't know, is the number one ticket holder at Ipswich Town, boy from Suffolk himself. And I'm sure Ed Sheeran is absolutely delighted. So well done, you Tractor boys.
Oh, all right. Geez. Well, that's just that's great. What a stirring recap.
Amazing.
Who's the number one ticket holder for Essendon, by the way? Is it still
Joan Kerner?
Is it still
Andrew Peacock?
Dan Andrews?
They're all dead, aren't they?
Dan Andrews? I think it was.
Dan Andrews?
It was him at one point.
Oh,
I know.
God.
It's scary. Isn't that scary?
Really, he inherited the James Hird ears.
I don't know if that's still the case. Again, someone will know who the number one ticket holder is. We need to get to the bottom of that.
Wasn't it Costello's brother? What's the one, the Christian one?
Tim Costello?
Tim, yeah.
Oh, really?
Was it him?
Does he go for Essendon?
Oh, no, actually, I might be getting my religious figures mixed up. Andrew Thornburn? I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we can probably say we don't know.
Right. Yeah. I think that's fair. All right, but someone will.
Yeah, of course they will.
The hive mind knows. The hive mind knows. It does. All right, okay, that's it.
Folks.
Thank you, as always.
Can't thank you enough.
We'll be back.
Keep those comments coming.
Yes. Please, yes.
Keep those super tips coming.
Yes. In fact, I think someone had a bit of luck with the multi, and they
did. They were very grateful.
It's like they gave us a bit of a kickback.
Yeah,
we appreciate that.
All right,
Thank you. See you again soon.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye for now.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.